Hello all, sorry I've been a bit late posting this week. It's been a bit mad getting used to the new lorry, getting into an 18 tonne, finding all the little bits and pieces you need to do, the irritating dangly bits in the back to cut them off. Yeah, and finding out you're ordering bits and pieces. So anyway, this is ruffling again. This is a video of Paul Slight, and I'm sure I've done it before, but like I say, some of them get lost on the system, and it's on poaching. And he asked a question. He says, I know what poaching is. It's about how long do I leave it before I can go back into that firm and go, here's my card, I'm ready to go. So briefly, for you people that don't know what poaching is, there's two big no-nos on the CX. When you do the kind of, quite a bit of paper, when you do the kind of thing that it says, the two things they really don't like you doing, don't co-load, unless you're told otherwise, which means if you ring them and you go, there's two people, they both say co-loading's fine, then it's okay. But otherwise, you're a dedicated driver, like a taxi. You pick the load up, you drive it straight there, you drop it off. You don't pick up other people on the way. It's not a bus, it's a taxi. And poaching, you don't do poaching, which means when you turn up to a place, you go in as a representative of the firm. So if you're booked by Barry's Couriers or A to B Couriers, you turn up, you're Barry's Couriers, A to B Couriers. As far as they're concerned, you work for them. You don't work for, you ain't Van Gogh, you don't work for yourself, you work for them. Which is why they want plain vehicles, because if you say you're Barry Couriers and you turn up with a vehicle that's plus Michael's Couriers all over it, they go, who's that then? You know, they get a number. The reason they don't like poaching, and no one will like poaching, is it's very difficult to get your own customers. Once you've got your own customers, you want to hang on to them, because it's a good way of getting regular work. You can normally charge them more money, although that's not always a big giveaway, like, you know. And you wouldn't want anyone to do it to you. Which means if you couldn't get to a place, you had I'd do a regular job for Michael or for Brian, to get out of the wind. I'd do a regular job for Brian. I'd do it every Monday to Friday, and then one day you can't make it, so you turn around and you get your mate to do it. Suddenly Brian stops ringing you, and you go, stop ringing me, Brian. He goes, yeah, that geezer turned up and he said he could do it cheaper. And you're like, that's not very nice, is it? I gave him work and now he's taking my work away. So poaching is a definite no. So the question is, but what if you do a job for a firm? What if you do a job for a firm and then 10 years later, you've still got that place on the doorstep? They haven't sent you in, and you're like, how long? And the other question is, what if you do a job for a firm and then the firm you're doing a job for go bust, or they don't pay you? And you go, well, they ain't going to get that work anymore, so why can't I go in and do that work? It could be a way of me trying to recuperate the money that they owe me. So I'm just going to give you a bit of wisdom here, which two people have told me. Now, according to the CX, White Man Van says, what the CX Help Centre says on poaching time limits, this was on my bit of paper, cold calling, soliciting business during or after a delivery has been completed on delivering a load on behalf of the broker is prohibited to proactively sell future services to the customer for a minimum period of 2 years. Now, I don't know about you, but the only thing that I heard in that last sentence was 2 years. Tajesh Patel puts it, he said, it's stated in the CX terms and conditions you must wait 2 years after completing a job before you can solicit to a customer. Trying to listen before this time is considered poaching, an instant ban from the CX, and basically an obligation is advised beyond ban from the CX and termination of membership. So there you go. So 2 years. So if you go into a place and you go in as Michael's Couriers, despite the fact you're Van Gogh, you can't go to that place for 2 years and drop your card off. There you go. If the firm you're working for goes bust, that's a different matter, because it's not like you're poaching their customer, because they haven't got any customers now because they've gone bust. If they go bust and they owe you money, you might go, well, here's a way of recouping my money. Or you might say yourself, maybe one of the reasons they went bust is the people they work for didn't pay them, in which case, do I really want to go and work for these people too? Then it's a quick way for me to go bust. On that one, I don't know the answer. The one thing I will say, what are the consequences of poaching? It happened to us once. We had to have a van going down to kind of Penzance way or something like that. And one of our regular customers rung them up and they went, how much? So we give them a price, because we knew it's going to be daft, and we knew it was Friday afternoon, you weren't going to get a backload. And then, oh, no, I don't really want to pay that. And then Gemma's looking on the system, and a job pings up from Leighton Buzzard to Penzance. And she's looking at that, and she goes, I know that postcode, that's where we collect from, and that's where they wanted to go. And then she looked on the system, and the guy who was posting the job was someone who we had sent in to our customer 1 week previous. So it's written there, isn't it? We know what you've done, mate. You've gone in, you put a card, noisy. They've rung us, they're not happy with the price, they've rung you. So we told the CX this, we went, this is exactly what's happened. And they did absolutely nothing. As it turned out, they went, have you got proof? Have you got to go in there and find the card and say you've done that kind of stuff? And we went, well, look, he's obviously done it. That was the end of that. Gemma was fuming. As it turned out, the guy did the job. Obviously, some kind of didn't really know what he was doing. And then our customer rung us about a week later. And when, can we have a man? He said, oh, you didn't want us to Penzance job? He went, no. So that job didn't go very well. So what had happened was, it actually acted in our favour. They picked the guy who dropped the card off. He did pick the job up. It was an absolute disaster. And they went, yeah, we understand. You know what you're doing now. We'll have you. So it actually worked in our favour. Do you want to take that chance? I wouldn't take that chance. How much is a CX membership now? £1,200 a year, £1,500 a year, £1,800 a year. Probably clocks up as I'm speaking. 21, 25. It's like an auction, that place. It's your livelihood. It's not worth the grief. You don't want the aggravation. You don't want the bad feedback. I mean, I always just go in as, a lot of time, in fairness, I'm a bit lapsadaisical. They say, who are you? I go, I don't know. Hold on a second. ANF Couriers today. As I feel like Mr. Ben. Every place I go, I put a different hat on. But no one really minds. They mind if you go, oh, but I'm here and I can do it cheaper. That's just naughty. You know, it's not moral, it's not ethical, it's not business-like. Don't do it. And it's not the way we get on. But so there you go, mate. I hope that's so. The official rules are 2 years. It's a little bit like that because of everything I've just said. But if I was you, I'd wait the 2 years. Why take the grief? You know what you want to take instead? You want to take care and take money.